Welcome to Advocation X, episode number 53. Time for a newsworthy, oily broadcast sponsored by Baden Optical in beautiful Ontario, Canada. Now, hit that like button and subscribe to push our content higher in the YouTube algorithms. And the topics to tackle here and now are oil futures, no bailouts, United States of America, Canadians, even with gas, GM and Ford, and your suggestions. Let's dive deep right now. Oil futures are trading at the lowest point since they walked the earth as dinosaurs. Negative $37 a barrel with a net share trade value of $9 per share at its low point. At the very best, you would say this is absolutely impossibly abysmal. Yet, it's true. ExxonMobil is approaching that critical point, and yet they are not alone. The oil companies are approaching critical mass. The reserves are full or near full, and with no place to store this oil, they can't even give it away. So in essence, they must pay to have it taken away. Despite all their stocks crashing, they're investing in future oil projects and selling assets to pay off dividends. Still, their only concern is to siphon money from the public and give it to big money investors. So, with that said, in my opinion, there should be no bailouts, absolutely zero bailouts for any company who pays dividends or keeps executive salaries above 50% of their current values. If I were running North America, this is how it would go. And I mean all of North America. That's the United States, Canada, Mexico, the whole shebang. All top execs would take a minimum 50% pay cut. No dividends will be paid to any shareholders until this crisis has ended. When we, the people, with our meager wages, are expected to save pennies for a rainy day in case of any possible disaster, I believe, since it is our taxpayer dollars that make up the money for the bailouts, that only the individual taxpayers should receive bailouts. All other bailouts should be assessed after taking care of the people and should be subject to massive financial scrutiny. If their financial practices were based on greed throughout the years preceding, then no bailouts. And if they operated within fiscally responsible guidelines and still they were experiencing difficulties, then they should be included. But again, not until the people are taken care of. And I don't mean with pennies. I mean, the people should be taken care of long before these big corporate entities are given billions of dollars to keep them afloat when all they do is buy back their stocks and feed it to their CEOs and other top execs. Anyway, so with that being said, looking at the present situation that North America is facing all around, could this be the fast track to the end of the United States of America and its dominance on the world stage? Or will the USA cause another war to keep the people in a stranglehold? When you allow your economy to be based on a single, invisible, intangible source, then you must expect to incur massive trauma somewhere in the future. Is it possible that the petrodollar and the American greenback will be irreparably damaged by this oil glut? Even with Russia and Saudi Arabia agreeing to cut back on approximately 10% production, lives may never be the same again across other oil-producing nations. Thank God, in Canada, much of our oil production is easily curtailed and cut down at its source. Stop mining and you stop production. The oil sands, I guess to some, now won't look like such a bad thing after all. It is high time that Canada build refineries, though, capable of handling all of its own capacity. As we have seen, it is difficult to bank on others' cooperation. So, How do you think the Canadian oil manufacturers will fare through this crisis? Do you think the Canadian people will ever recover from the debt levels that we shall be working against upon the conclusion of the super bad cold illness crisis? What will be the effects on electric vehicles or plug-in hybrid electric vehicles? Could we see a huge decline in the purchases of all vehicles under the electric banner? Will it be contingent on gas prices? Well, all indicators are showing us that with gas reaching EV cost per mile, perception does not seem to affect EV sales. While all sales are down across the board, when it comes to vehicles, by percentage, EVs are the least affected. And of course, top of that list, Tesla. So, this brings me and leads me into GM and Ford getting extremely close to breakpoint due to their debts and the inventories that they have all financed. At a time when they were just starting to make some half-hearted attempt at retooling and bringing in the electrification of many of their models, they were hit with this super bad cold illness crisis. This is pushing them in a direction that none of us were hoping for. We are always rooting for anybody who wishes to enter the electrification field because renewable energy would just be so delightful for the whole population. Look at how beautiful our air has become across the world because of this crisis. If we come out of this with a better outlook on where we should be heading, then we have one positive thing to look forward to. Because of their failing share prices, though, and the loss of investor confidence, it will be difficult for those two companies to pursue goals in electrification the way even their half-hearted attempts were planned. It looks like they will have to drop to survival mode and do what they do best, produce ICE vehicles or internal combustion engine vehicles. Their infrastructure is already in place, which keeps costs low and profits per unit as high as possible. If GM and Ford wish to survive in the best position to meet the future head-on, I believe they need to join together along with Daimler Chrysler in order to trim the fat and keep them in a fighting chance going forward. If not, they will continue to struggle all the way to either destruction or a very small market share of the electric vehicles, which will be flooding the world as internal combustion engines are being pushed out. I know some of you that's not a very popular thing to hear, but it's the reality. So that brings me to, what are your suggestions as to where we are heading and our final destinations? Do you foresee a future with the big three? Do you see them merging into one large enough entity to fight back? Do you see any other companies buying them in order to help them survive? I, for one, would love to see Tesla purchase GM and revamp every existing model to fit the Tesla skateboard. This would allow those die-hard internal combustion engine enthusiasts to feel like they're still winning. Tesla could even incorporate ICE engine noises to make everyone feel at home. As far as market evaluation, Tesla could afford to buy either GM or Ford and then completely electrify the entire lineup. Of course, that's contingent on them getting back up and running quick enough to be able to maintain their market share. So everyone, let's tweet at Elon Musk and urge him to consider my proposal, as long as, of course, he's able to get back into production quick enough to stay above the fray. If it comes to a vote, I vote yes. So please help further our cause, hitting the like button and subscribing for future content. Become a member and crush that bell while you're at it, so you miss nothing. Disclaimer, our channel is opinion based on facts and not the alternative fact type either. Questions will be answered if you're a subscribed member of this channel. However, suggestions are more than welcome, including critical analysis. Leave your respectful comments in the comment section. Please stay safe and healthy while doing your best to remain as happy as humanly possible. And a special thanks from Clyde and the crew to all you beautiful thinking people out there. And this shout out to our sponsor, Baden Optical in beautiful Ontario, Canada. Once again, good folks, I must say, we never give up and we never give in. But remember, always keep an open mind because knowledge is power. So we will do our research to remain powerful. Until next time, thank you for spending time with us here on this channel.